Grazina, Harper, and Mark Phillips of the Monroe County Public Defender's Office. My name is Chris Rochester. I live in Rochester, New York. I'm an innocent man. This is a check here. I'm going to tell you why I have this check that I didn't cash, because I knew I was going to eventually come to YouTube and talk about it. This check is for $61.39. It says County of Monroe, Office of the Sheriff, Inmate Fund Account. I have this check because of Richard J. Seidman, Sheriff Todd Baxter's $75,000 psychopath. And this is why he's a psychopath. I walk from where I used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, and you, Grazina, have been there. Down Penfield Road to Bad Road, I walk into 1985 Bad Road, the Penfield Public Library, where my ex-girlfriend Laura Riley used to work. That's why we moved to Penfield. I sit down at the computer. Richard J. Seidman walks in to the Penfield Public Library with another Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. I stand up at the computer. Seidman runs at me, extends his arm, clotheslines me, slams me in the head. So it's the force of Seidman's arm hitting me in the head. I fell backwards and then my head hit the ceramic tile. The other Monroe County Sheriff Office employee kicked me when I was down on the floor. They put the handcuffs on me and they walked me out of the library. And as I'm walking past the front desk, which I used to go past when I go see my then girlfriend Laura Riley, I'm thinking I'm so glad Laura doesn't work here anymore. They take me out the door, down the hallway, into Penfield Town Court, and there's this $28,000 bald-headed, skin-headed widow, Paul C. Metzer, waiting for me. One person wants to deliver me to jail, and it's not going to be Monroe County Jail. What do you think about the state of my constitutional and civil rights right now, Grazina and Mark? Because I don't have any. Because one person, Penfield, New York, town of 36,000, wants to send me to jail. And this is what I'm going to tell the Department of Justice. An assistant district attorney, a prosecutor from the district attorney's office, Sandra Dolly, is not there. So this disgusting hack, Paul C. Metzer, was convening Penfield Town Court by herself for the express purpose of delivering me to jail by herself, where she empowers Richard J. Seidman to violently attack me. So to put the handcuffs on me, as I have at $61.39 in my pocket, and I'm driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. And I walk in there, and I'm told immediately to disrobe for the penis inspection. Because I've had either Livingston County employees or Monroe County Sheriff Office employees stare at my penis over 50 times. So there's a Livingston County jail employee staring at my penis near the State University of New York at Geneseo, when only 2 hours previously I was sitting at the computer terminal at the Penfield Public Library. They gave me my jumpsuit, and there I am in Livingston County Jail. So, I had to go to the kiosk every day and punch in my name, my social security number, my address, and then I had to write a message, which I didn't know if it was reaching anyone. And every day, multiple times a day, that's one day I did this, I think 10 times. How long am I going to be here? How long am I going to be here? I would write that over and over, and no one's telling me. What do you think about the state of my constitutional civil rights right now, Grazina and Mark? This is when you, Grazina, told me, quote, the judge is holding you, the end quote, and the judge is Paul C. Metzer. How's that constitutional? That's insane. I'm violently attacked, deposited in front of one judge, driven away from Monroe County where I've lived for 10 years. I'm in Livingston County, and this disgusting sick hack, as one person is holding me in Livingston County Jail. So I'm at the jail, and I would leave the jail area, walk behind this large desk where the jail employee sits to monitor the inmates. Open the door and go down the hallway. I think I did this once to talk to you, Grazina. One time I'm doing this, I'm walking toward that door, and about 50 feet in front of me is an extremely large inmate who rapidly walked up to another inmate, knocked him down, and then he put him in a headlock, turned him around, and this inmate held his head with his gigantic left arm and began to pound his head with his fist. This man was about 6'3" and 250 pounds. I looked at his fist, and since I've been a boxing fan my whole life, I remember looking at the fist of the great George Foreman when I was in elementary school, in awe, looking at his fist, because one of these boxing magazines I had a picture of his fist. And I'm trying not to laugh here because it's not serious about the destruction of my life. As I'm looking at this man, pound on this man's head, I'm standing right there in front of it. I'm thinking about the size of George Foreman's fist and the ferocity with which he's pounding on his head. So about 10 Livingston County Jail employees ran through this door. I was about to exit. And they immediately broke up the violent attack, the assault. It was impressive how fast they got to the jail area where this violent attack, this assault was happening. And so they took this extremely large violent inmate off the victim. And the victim rolled over, and there was blood on the floor. His glasses, he wore glasses, were broken. And I looked at this really in horror. So there I am in Livingston County Jail, and the next day, or within 48 hours, a jail employee told me to go to a room, and I didn't know why. So one thing I try to do in jail is do as I'm told, because I don't want to be a problem, create problems for the employees. I do everything I'm told to jail. I know how to be an inmate, which is a disgrace on my life that I know how to be an inmate. Where prosecutors never talk to court, and I've been in jail 6 times, and I've been an inmate 6 times. So I go to this room with an investigator, and I sit down with him. And he says to me, I'm here to talk to you about the fight. And then I replied, I'm not here to talk about a fight. I didn't see any fight. I will not give a statement about a fight. If you're going to write what I'm a witness to is a fight, I will not answer any questions. And then he understood what I was talking about. I was trying to be professional and courteous to him. But I wanted to let him know this is not a fight. And I said to him that I've heard other inmates describe violent attacks as fights. And as I said to him, a fight is when 2 people square off and they're exchanging punches, exchanging blows, and that's a fight. This is a violent attack and assault. And I sat with him for an hour. He was professional and courteous, and he really comported himself with a high degree of integrity. And I really was impressed at how he was trying to find out the facts of this violent attack and assault. And I gave a statement, and then he's writing and writing. I'm talking, he's writing. And then he asked me to sign it. I read it, and then I signed it. So, and he did an excellent job. So this is what's happening to me. I'm in Livingston County Jail. I'm a witness to a violent attack. I give a statement about a violent attack where a prosecutor's not present before Paul C. Messer and Penn Court. So, this is my life. I'm contacting you for a number of reasons. Because, Grazina, you said to me at one point, this insane destruction of my life, the prosecutor's not backing down. And then you didn't tell me the name of the prosecutor. It's the payroll for the district attorney's office. One of these sick, disgusting, vile hacks is doing this to me. I believe the prosecutor's not backing down, according to you, Grazina, is on here. This is the payroll. I'm only going to read the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 names. Because she's fleecing taxpayers. $100,000 is not the gold standard salary it was in 1990 when I was in graduate school at SUNY Albany. I'm going to talk about that. But it's still a lot of money. And what I've been demanding is another reason why I'll be back in jail again and why they have destroyed my life. I'm demanding using the Freedom of Information Law, which is attached, and you can read it. How Sandra Dorley pays her employees when the 41st hour is worked. I'm also demanding this to Todd Baxter. Can an employee, like for a name I'm going to read here, double their salary with overtime? And she's refusing to answer, and she's corrupt, and this is a reason why she's corrupt. So the next time you want to make a deal with the district attorney's office to reduce charge for someone, just think about the fact you're negotiating with corruption. Nancy Scabetta, $64,304. Sandra Dorley, $210,900. Perry Douglas, $144,721. Matthew Schwartz, $135,359. Mark Monahan, $141,597. Nancy Gilligan, $118,435. Michelle Crowley, $131,416. Mark McCarthy, $95,527. Sarah Van Stradek, $131,416. Monica O'Brien, $117,006. This Michelle Crowley should be disbarred. I copied her on this. I don't know if it's going to be a blind copy. It's going to be in the CC. You told me I was indicting Grazina Harper because of this hack, who does not call me to the grand jury. Do you recall why I was indicting Grazina? Because of Michael C. Houlihan, who's a perjurer. And I've contacted you about him being a perjurer right here on YouTube. If these are sheriff office employees, district attorney's office employees think I'm on YouTube to talk to them, they're insane. I'm always talking to the United States Department of Justice. So I hope to include this link when I finish this YouTube. This is now 10 minutes. It says right here, perjurer, 73,312 Michael C. Houlihan, Monroe County Sheriff's Office. These are why they're psychopaths. This is why they're psychopaths. I leave my residence at 26 Sanders Farm Drive or walk alongside my residence. Don Benedetto and Michael C. Houlihan come running at me from the private property of my neighbor. I turn around and run away. I never stop running. You, Mark, told me the last name of Houlihan. Only when I got the payroll and acquired the payroll did I know this is Michael Houlihan. He should be fired immediately. This is a corrupt cop, and corrupt cops shouldn't be believed about anything. I never stopped running from Michael C. Houlihan and Don Benedetto. I run alongside my residence, back to the back porch. My foot goes on the back porch. I grab a hammer next to my bicycle. Michael Houlihan grabs my arm. The hammer goes up, I pull away, run through the sliding glass door. That's what happened. That's not a crime. That's only a crime in this sick, delusional fantasy land of Michael Houlihan. Because then Michael Houlihan went back to this repulsive shack, the district attorney's office, and lied. Instead, I swung a hammer at him. And as I subsequently said to Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, the only way I could swing a hammer at this psychopath, Michael Houlihan, is if I stopped and pivoted on my foot. I was in Livingston County Jail for that. And then when I went back to New York State Supreme Court, before 70-year-old fossil, $208,000 Alex Renzi, he tells me there's no such thing as attempted felony assault. So here they are hiding on the private property, Michael Houlihan, Don Benedetto, come running at me. I never stop running. They concoct attempted felony assault, for which I'm in Livingston County Jail. And then when I'm released, Alex Renzi says there's no such thing as attempted felony assault because it's a landmine of vagueness for it to be attempted, because then anything could be attempted. Someone, Mark, could say, you attempted to assault Grazina, and you would think, what the heck is this person talking about? Because anything could be attempted, and I was in jail for this. Corrupt cops lie. And you have to work with these corrupt cops. And you have to work with prosecutors of silence. I use that phrase over and over. Prosecutors of silence. How am I in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? Mark Grazina. How am I in jail 6 times? And 6 times a prosecutor doesn't talk in court. So, I use registered mail return receipt and UPS to to communicate with Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Dorley. This is the receipt here. When I go to the post office, they stamp this and give this to me. See how many there? And then this green card comes back to me. And then I know they received documentation. So Mark Grazina, not only am I using registered mail return receipt, I'm using UPS. Because UPS is open on Sundays. Sometimes I just like to walk over there to Park Avenue. I really like it over there. That's how many times. So Mark Grazina, that's how many times I've contacted District Attorney's Office, Sandra Dorley, with a signing for it, and it's been tracked. Signing for it here, it's been tracked here. And I'm saying on the document, you know what I'm saying on the documents, Mark Grazina, that they have received over and over? What they have received over and over, and these are different dates. This is corruption I'm holding up. It's going to be paperwork, but this is corruption. This is corruption I have in my hand. That's the Freedom of Information Law. This is dated January 28th, December 22nd, January 8th, January 18th, January 10th, January 3rd, January 5th. So that's just in the last month. And this is why they're corrupt, and this is what you have to work with. On January 5th, and this is on every single one I held up on, this language is the same. Here. January 5th. This is why they're corrupt. This is why you work with corruption. For Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case for Christopher Sanchez for John P. Lorenzo Jr. in Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Dorley. 813-648-4441. That's my phone number. Chester, JUL4@gmail.com. 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester 14604. Got address and phone numbers on this. Documentation for the case for Christopher Sanchez for falsely met from Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Dorley. The documentation for the case for Christopher Sanchez, New York State Supreme Court, Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Dorley. There were two females standing behind me when he said to me, this $208,000 fossil, I was finished and done, which is not true. I hope to never see you again. And if I am in jail again, I'm just going to reject any type of representation from the public defender's office. I don't even want to talk to them for a number of reasons. I'm in jail without a prosecutor talking in court. And I'm being held in jail. I'm not being told how long I'm going to be in jail. I will eventually have to be released. Even though I'm thanking you for helping me be released, what, are they going to keep me in there for the rest of my natural born life? So Mark and Grazina, this is Perry Duckles on January 1, 2023. And Mark, here you are here communicating with me, Mark. And here you are communicating with me, Mark. And here you are, Grazina, communicating with me. And here you are, Grazina, communicating with me. What are the names of my prosecutors? That's what's in there. Tell me the names of my prosecutors, Mark Phillips and Grazina Harper. Perry Duckles, the deputy district attorney, who I believe is the de facto district attorney. Attached to PDF is a 61-page Freedom of Information Law document dated December 20, 2022 that arrived in your office via UPS. This documentation also arrived on December 22nd, 2022 and December 26th, 2022 via UPS. If you track and have it, print each, bring it to your corrupt boss, District Attorney Sandra Dorley. Tell the pathetic accumulation of health afflictions. Send the information to my UPS address listed below. It includes the names of my prosecutor's silence. What's not to understand? I've demanded the names of my prosecutor's silence for 18 months. Does it bother you in any way that the health of the District Attorney Sandra Dorley is in radical decline? That's why I use that language. Pathetic accumulation of health afflictions. That's as accurate as it could get. She's a joke. That's why she has to have a conviction integrity unit. You know what I'm talking about? You should. If you don't, that's extremely disturbing if you don't know she has a conviction integrity unit. Because in the Freedom of Information Law documents, I'm demanding what this, as I call it, contraption does. Because I don't think it does anything. And I'm also demanding the number of complaints that have been received by her conviction integrity unit. So here it is right here. And I'm demanding the number of minors on the payroll. This is why she's corrupt. This is why you work with corruption. When I say work with corruption, you're forced to work with corruption. You're not employed by the district attorney's office. When you work with corruption, you have the district attorney, assistant district attorney that you're in communication with, in contact with. That's what I mean by work with. This is on January 3rd. It's now February. Freedom of Information Law, documentation signed by District Attorney Sandra Dorley, created conviction integrity unit with the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. In New York State, as I'm sure you know, there are public meetings and there are minutes. So if it meets, there are minutes. There's a record of it. Freedom of Information Law, the minutes of every conviction integrity unit meeting at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Dorley on January 3rd. She refused. She's corrupt, Grazina. She's corrupt, Mark. Do you not know that the District Attorney of Monroe County, Sandra Dorley, is corrupt? Conviction Integrity Unit is her confession that innocent citizens are in jail. I should have been out of jail in one day. Just by any type of petition process by you saying the prosecutor didn't talk to court. If a prosecutor doesn't talk to court, a prosecutor can't make an argument that the defendant committed a crime. So how am I in jail once when a prosecutor doesn't talk to court? And I've been in jail 6 times when a prosecutor doesn't talk to court. And I do not know who these anonymous freaks are that are doing this to me. I do not know who these anonymous cowards are that are doing this to me. Tell me the names of my prosecutors, Grazina and Mark. And the reason why is that I will seek the disbarment. The Attorney Grievance Committee is on East Avenue, and I'll go there. Grazina and Mark and walk through that parking lot. Can you see it? Sometimes a glare on the phone. This is where I used to live. There's two of my neighbors right there in the photograph. Why can you walk through this parking lot without being arrested, Mark Phillips? Why can you walk through this parking lot without being arrested, Grazina Harper? Are you a different kind of American than me? And the answer is yes, you are. Where's my equal protection of the laws when I'm the only citizen to walk through this parking lot and be arrested? Dr. Gloria Nichols was my dentist at 2033 Penfield Road. I walked through the parking lot one day after she left to move her practice further down Penfield Road. A 50-year-old man named Nairaj Shah moved into this building at 2033 Penfield Road with his 70-year-old mother. And one day I'm returning from, I believe it was Gold's Gym in Fairport. And Nairaj Shah starts screaming. We have this confrontation. I tell him to fuck off. I give him the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. It's ordinary normal to walk through this parking lot. Penfield High School students in a red athletic apparel walked through this parking lot. My ex friend Adam, who lived next to me, walked through this parking lot. The elderly woman who lived across from me walked through this parking lot. The lunatic fringe, what you have to work with, the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, a warrant for my arrest by $67,000 Shannon Meyer for walking through this parking lot. She's now paid $83,000. So, I'm walking through that parking lot. Elliot Roth, who works at a business called Consumer Insights, is outside. And he's got this gruesome smile on his face. And he says to me, "You're going to be arrested." You know why Elliot Roth says to me, "You're going to be arrested, Mark and Grazina"? Because it's the lunatic fringe. Why Elliot Roth says to me, "You're going to be arrested." And I'm looking right now for something I want to show you. Because I'm going to show you the lunatic fringe. Mark and Grazina. I have a number of papers around here. I try to get them quickly, and this is what I can. They're refusing to answer if they're using private technology on me or if it is taxpayer dollars expended to fix this. And you, Grazina, sent me the links. And I watched myself on what? Because I'm going to get to Lindsey Barron, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health. This is January 16th, 2023. This arrived. That was it was in here. What I'm going to read to you, Grazina, Mark, was in here. January 16th. This photographs why you're a fanatic. This photographs why you're an extremist. This photographs why you're a liar. This photograph is why I know the name is $67,000 disgusting hack Shannon Meyer. This photograph is why people hate the police. That's called a surveillance device. The great Mike Pompeo at the Central Intelligence Agency will tell this bald-headed, skin-headed fascist, Todd Baxter, who doesn't know if he's a Republican or Democrat, that that's a surveillance device. And you, Grazina, sent me the links. So, I came outside and told Steve Desmond, Broccoli Tree, and Lawn Care, nobody owns the land next to my residence. I watched Shannon Meyer run into my backyard and fall down in my backyard dirt. This freak can't even stay on her feet, 2 feet. This is psychotic pounding on my front door. I open the door. I say, "What's the problem?" They say, "We want to talk to you." There's 6 of them. This is why they're fascists. This is why they're fanatics. This is why they're sociopaths. All I did is tell Steve Desmond of Broccoli Tree and Lawn Care, nobody owns the land next to my residence. They're setting me up is what they're doing. Meyer runs around to the front. This hyperventilating freak has dirt on her uniform, dirt on her face. 6 of them there for me. For just telling Steve Desmond of Broccoli Tree and Lawn Care, nobody owns the land next to my residence. The male says to me, "Show us where he was standing." I'm thinking, this is not good for me. As I walk across my front lawn, they began to surround me. And then as I pointed to where I was standing, the handcuffs go on, and they surrounded me. One, it's not a crime to tell Steve Desmond of Broccoli Tree and Lawn Care, nobody owns the land next to my residence, even if there is ownership of their land. And there isn't. This is why. 2, there's no documentation to prove land ownership. As I don't know anything about your personal lives, that's none of my business. But I'll guess, given your success, Grazina, Mark, that you own homes, or you have owned homes, or you understand how home ownership works. I bought a home in 1997 in the Albany County suburb of Gilderland, and with, as I call her, the realtor to the stars, Gloria. And at the closing, Gloria gave me a document because I was on a cul-de-sac. And she said to me, "This is the document that proves you own the land next to your residence." And I remember looking at it and thinking, this is really terrific. It's one of the best days. And it had a seal or an affidavit or some type of marking. Well, that's how I know I own the land for my house in Guilderland, New York, that was on a cul-de-sac. I lived there for 3 years before I moved to Washington, D.C. So I was a U.S. House and U.S. Senate employee for 5 years there on the Hill. Well, I know what the document is that establishes I have ownership of the land. This is what Layla Kumar Shah and A-Rod Shah sent to me. Timothy Murphy, the Monroe County Office of Real Property Tax Service, can't confirm anything. This is a joke. They own nothing. This is how it set me up. This is not a documentation that proves land ownership. This is fiction. This is the fantasy land of A-Rod Shah's head, 50-year-old man who lives with his 70-year-old mother. It's not a crime for me to walk outside and tell this man, Steve Desmond, Brock Hall, Tree, and Lincoln, nobody owns the land next to my residence. Especially when I already know there's no land ownership by this A-Rod Shah. Going to the sheriff's office about me walking through a parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times but not anybody else. Do you have a dog, Grazina, Mark? I'll guess you do. And if you don't, then you've had dogs in your life, perhaps going back to them even when you were in elementary school. I'm not showing you this here for narcissism or self-absorption. This has to do with the psychopaths, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I work for top backs. This is why people hate the police. I went to Lollipop Farm Humane Society in 2012 and I lived in Webster with my then girlfriend, Laura Riley. And it was a terrific day. And we were in an interview to be approved, and we were. One of the questions we were asked, have you ever been arrested, Chris and Laura? The answer from both of us is no. If the answer is yes, we cannot adopt a dog. So we adopted a dog, we were approved. It's one of the best days of my life. He was with me for 8 years. This is why I'm talking about my little guy, as I would call him. His name was Alex. And when we were told his name, I laughed because when I was a United States Senate staffer, I worked in a Russell Senate office building with my attorney colleague named Alex Heck. I remember saying to my girlfriend, no dog of ours is going to be named Alex. And I used to work with Alex Heck as a United States Senate staffer. So one of my favorite fighters since I was in high school is Ray Mancini, also called Boom Boom. I wasn't going to name him Sugar Ray, that's for sure. So I named him Boom Boom, and that's unconventional. But I named him Boom Boom because he's champion. That's why. And I love that fight. If you know boxing, Ray Mancini knocked out Arturo Frias in his brilliant performance to win the title. Just heart of a champion. So that's why I named him Boom Boom. Monroe County Sheriff's Office came to my residence to demand him. 4,000 times in 7 years, I walked my little guy. Along that land next to where you were, Grazina, if you remember, where there's a tree-lined area right next to the residence, 26 Sanders Farm Drive. I'm walking my little guy in this unowned land. This is where I am with him. This is where I am with him. I take him for his walk. I bring him back in. As I'm walking my little guy back into my residence, the back window from this Shaw law firm flies open. And this overweight woman is screaming at me. I don't know why she's screaming at me. I bring my little guy in. I think I need to go over there because why she's screaming at me. And I already know A-Rod Shah, Layla Kumar Shah, this mother's son freak, lived there. The overweight woman refuses to talk to me. A-Rod Shah, Layla Kumar Shah refuses to talk to me, so I leave. An hour later, there's that psychotic pounding on my door by the sheriff's office. I answer the door. 2 Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees are there with pencil out of control demanding my dog. I said in a vicious confrontation, you have to kill me to take my little guy from me. I slammed the door, and I walked back to his dog bed. My mother and father bought me a dog bed. I picked him up and put him on my shoulder. He was shaking. I thought I was going to completely lose it, but I did keep it together. This is why I call them Psychopaths Incorporated. A psychopath sheriff comes to the home of an innocent citizen and demands his dog when that innocent citizen has walked his dog for 7 years and 4,000 times. This is why people hate the police, Grazina and Mark. Also, when you have to work with these freaks. This is Todd Baxter's, I believe, official photograph. This is why he's a narcissist. This is why he's a freak. His predecessor, sheriff, for 16 years, wore civilian clothes. There he is with the 4 stars on his uniform. He decided to put those 4 stars on his collar. This Benito Mussolini skinhead. This is why he's a narcissist. So Grazina and Mark, who's doing this to me? It's the district attorney's office payroll. Who is it? You know who it is. And you're going to refuse to tell me. Who are the prosecutors assigned to my court appearances, concocted charges, fiction, and lies? Who is it? Who's the prosecutors not backing down? Who are the prosecutors in silence? If you were in jail for 5 minutes without a prosecutor talking in court, I guarantee you would reach a conclusion, Mark Grazina, that your civil and constitutional rights have been smashed into a million little pieces. So, January 18th. Mail the information I demand below the address in Rochester. This includes the names of my prosecutor's silence over and over and over. So, I get out of Livingston County Jail, where I'm out processing with Paul C. Metz, who has total control of my life, this $28,000 skinhead widow. Where I'm in handcuffs and I have to sign this order of protection, where I know I'm not coming out of those handcuffs. I would have refused if I wasn't in handcuffs, and I would have refused if I wasn't in fear of being returned to jail. I had to sign. I've never met Layla Kumar and Raj Shah. So I signed. And I'm demanding copies of these orders of protection, because when I contact the United States Department of Justice, I will tell his employees that this sick hack, Paul C. Metzer, is using an order of protection upon me as a humiliation device. She just wants to humiliate me because she's sick and corrupt. Is Paul C. Metzer, Grazina, or Mark sick and corrupt? Is your answer yes or no? I'm going to tell you what your answer should be. The answer is yes. So I go to the YMCA in Penfield. I'd love to go there because I swim in a pool. One day I swim in a pool, and I go to this large area in another room with about 20 people in it to use the rowing machine. So I sit down on the rowing machine. This is when I was forced to sign an order of protection for this freak, Layla Kumar Shah. And I like to see this rowing machine because I can see the speed bag. And I taught myself how to use the speed bag, which I really would love to do this. I go swimming, rowing machine, speed bag, and I think about my favorite fighters and all the great fights in history. This day I'm on the rowing machine and look over at the speed bag. Standing right next to the speed bag is Layla Kumar Shah. And I ignore this freak. I'm tuning her out. I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing, is being on the rowing machine. I have been a runner since high school, an athlete since high school. I played baseball too. And even you could be an amateur athlete like me, and you do mental exercises to keep yourself focused on the exercise. And so I'm on the rowing machine, and I'm trying to do this mental exercise and thinking about trying how I can get this freak out of my mind. She's right in front of me. And then she starts to walk from the speed bag to where I am on the rowing machine, this Layla Kumar Shah. And I'm saying to myself, please walk by me and out the door, because the door is behind me. She stands right in front of me, this Layla Kumar Shah. And she points to the barbell next to me. And I look up at her and I say, I don't know what you're talking about. What's my name? You know my name. And this frightens and startles this freak, Layla Kumar Shah. She walks over to the center of this large room and points at me and tells a YMCA employee he doesn't belong at the YMCA. And then the YMCA employee replies to Layla Kumar Shah, I don't know what you're talking about. So the next day, I'll go into the YMCA, and I was thinking, I don't even know if I can stay here anymore. Not because of any order of protection. It's her. I don't want to see this disgusting, sickening, vile human being. Or her son, because I was thinking, is the son there too? So I get to the front there, and you have to check in with your card. And the employee says to me, Mike wants to talk to you. This is Michael Avery, who's the manager of the YMCA. I'm thinking, this is not going to be good for me. It immediately occurred to me that this is about what happened the day before. So I waited a few minutes, and Michael Avery came out. And he said, I'd like to talk to you upstairs to the second floor area. And we walked in. The whole time I'm preparing for my YMCA membership to be terminated. Because in the order of protection I signed in handcuffs, I was forced to sign, and I know I'm not coming out of those handcuffs if I refuse. So Michael Avery sits down with me, and he says to me, I heard what happened. Tell me what happened. And then I was relieved because I thought, well, he's not telling me I'm not welcome at the YMCA anymore. And this has happened at other gyms I've used. The sheriff's office is calling gyms and where I would go in Rochester, Penfield, and then my gym membership would be terminated. I'm not going to talk about that. That's what these freaks are doing too. Because that happened to me a couple times at gyms I was going to. Well, on this day, this gym, the best gym, the biggest gym, the YMCA, Michael Avery just wants to know what's happening with me. So I told him for about 45 minutes, Michael Avery and I talked. I told him about these order of protections, and I told him about you too. I told him I've been in jail without a prosecutor talking in court. So then Michael Avery said to me, "You're welcome to come here to the YMCA anytime." I'm still a YMCA member, and I hope when I move back to Albany, I can transfer any monies I've paid to be a YMCA member. So, Grazina, Mark, I've been in contact with Perry Douglas and Michael C. Wuhan, who's a perjurer, is not going to spend 5 seconds in jail. And then Richard J. Seidman, who attacked me, he's not going to spend 5 seconds in jail. And right here on this YouTube, February 1, 2023, which I believe you're copying on a blind copy. This is who I sent this to, where it says Lisa Gray, Special Counsel to District Attorney, 47 South 52, Rochester, 14604. This went to L. Gray. They're all monroecounty.gov emails. L. Gray, E. Buckley, M. O'Brien, M. Schwartz, M. Crowley, M. Monahan, M. Beezer, C. Bolkelman, R. Catalano, J. Hyatt, P. Gallagher, S. Miles, M. Robinson. I think you're a blind copy on this. Michelle Crowley indicts me when I don't know the grand jury's convened. So YouTube, for Perry Douglas at Monroe County District Attorney's Office, he's going to refuse to disclose names on prosecutors, just like you will. YouTube perjurer, $73,312, Michael C. Hoolan, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, violence, Sheriff Ty K. Bags, $75,000 Richard J. Seidman. This is everybody here at the District Attorney's Office is copied, including Chief of the Local Courts, Elizabeth Buckley. Kyle Steinbach, as I'm sure you know, was the Chief of the Local Courts. I emailed him repeatedly, tell me the names of my prosecutors, and he refused. And I'll guess that you know he ran for, I think it was Monroe County Court, and he was blown out big time. He wasn't even close for him. I think that he lost because he was in the District Attorney's Office. But here is an Assistant District Attorney, Kyle Steinbach, who one of his areas of responsibility is the local courts. And when I emailed him, I'm already home. I'm a free man. I email him. I say my name. I say, tell me the names of my prosecutors. He emails me back, quote, "We don't discuss open cases," end quote. I'm looking at this again, why they're freaks. I email him, I return an email saying, "I'm home from jail. The prosecutor didn't talk in court. I have an assistant district attorney assigned to my case. Who is it?" He refused to respond. So he doesn't understand what I'm demanding of him because he's either intellectually lazy or corrupt or both. When he says to me, "We don't discuss open cases," I tell him I'm home and what's the name of my prosecutor, and then I email him again and he still refuses to tell me. So I don't know who I'm going to copy on here because this is a mail.com account. You have limited recipients, but I think it's the Chief of the Local Courts Bureau. I'm going to have Elizabeth Buckley, I hope, on a CC that you can see, Grazina and Mark. So Elizabeth Buckley, eject yourself from that corruption, fanaticism, and hatred, and contact me at this Park Avenue address I'm going to read, and tell me, Elizabeth Buckley, the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, the names of my prosecutors assigned to my court appearances, concocted criminal charges, fiction, and lies. Chief of the Local Courts Bureau, Elizabeth Buckley. How am I in jail, Elizabeth Buckley, when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? So, can you answer that question, Elizabeth Buckley? $131,416, Elizabeth Buckley. You're paid just $1,000 less than Sheriff Todd Baxter. So for $131,416, Elizabeth Buckley, tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence. This is where you could contact me, Elizabeth Buckley. Christopher Chichester, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York. I'll be in jail for the 7th time, and for a 7th time, a prosecutor will not talk in court because I have never committed a crime.